I put the mini Talon up on the scales to tell the tale. And we're talking about some all up weight here, I guess. So, like I said, I've got just a couple of more parts small to put on it. The tail reinforcement and replace the tubing for the airspeed sensor. But in general, it's not going to change it a lot. So I had to put a box on top of the scale to get the fuselage up in the air with no battery in it, just as it's sitting. And again, I don't know of anything else that really has to be put on it except for just some little small. It shouldn't be 5 grams, but we'll see what it ends up being. Without a battery, 1,207 grams. I like that. I don't know what they should be, but from what I can read on the instructions, etc., I have to compare it to the build that I did versus what the instructions might say that you should put on it in it as far as motor and stuff. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. But as far as full all up weight, you'll see. I'm very pleased. The build plan I'm sort of following. I'm doing my own thing. The as you'll see at the end of this, the information on the plans that came with the Mini Talon do not list motor type, do not list battery type, etc., etc., etc. But we'll get to that at that time. The list I'm sort of following suggests a 4S 5200 milliamp hour battery. Now that's a 2200 milliamp hour battery on that. It's a 3S. Don't know if I should even fly that one. I don't know. We'll see here. Because they say that a 5200 milliamp hour 4S will get me 45 to 60 minutes of flight time with this. We don't know for sure yet, but let's look at this. With a 2200, which wouldn't be bad for a maiden flight, depends on if it will satisfy the center of gravity. This thing turned out to be tail heavy. Not sure why, but I guess I am sure why. Because the equipment compartment's actually all behind the center of gravity. But 1,389 grams isn't bad because I think the max takeoff weight on this thing is 2,000. I'm 2/3 of that. But again, 2,200 milliamp hour battery is not the recommended battery. So let's go ahead and stick what is recommended up on the top of the fuselage. And they recommend a 4S52. That's a 4S58. And it's also something like a 40C or some junk like that. That's a quad battery. That's when they don't have to have as much discharge. They can be lighter for the same amount of milliamp hours. Anyway, we'll talk about that in the future. So that's just 600 milliamp hours over, and good high discharge doesn't kill an airplane. It just weights it down a little more than it should have to. But that battery, I can use it in the flame wheel or others quads of mine where 4 motors, 6 motors might be sucking on it versus 1 in the airplane, and it won't kill it. So I went with the high discharge so I could use it in multiple platforms. I will eventually get this airplane down to a lighter battery. Don't know that it'll be a 5200, but it will be lighter. So if we look at that, now that is 1,791 grams, which is not too bad for me. Wow. Uh, Again, it's under the all-up weight. Um, like I say, I'm not sure that's the battery I'll use. We'll see. Well, I will use that battery at one point to just because it is still under the all-up weight for flying the darn thing. So let's just go ahead and get to that right now. I don't really have any other batteries to show you. That just gives a smattering sample. Here's the information on the plans that come inside of it. And you can see where it says flying weight. It says 1,000 to 2,000 grams. I'm 1,791. I'm still a good bit under that 2,000. 791 grams over the 1,000. If I did get a lighter battery, I would be closer to the 1,500 or so, in my humble opinion. But I would go down towards the 1,000 rather than the 2,000. But that's wing load. Flying weight. I'm still well, in my humble opinion, 300 and something. 1791. 17. Okay, that's 208 grams. Yeah, 208 grams. That's not a lot, but I don't know if everybody's been in this stuff a lot. I've been basically doing verticals, and in verticals, quads, hexes, tricopters, that kind of thing, 200 grams is everything. So I think I'm good. I'm pretty sure I'm good with the batteries I have, and that's what I'm going with. Just going to look over the rest of this real quick. 51.1 inch wingspan. It's 32.6 inches from the nose to the tail. It's drive system. It says Outrunner brushless motor. Well, I used one of those. Escape. Oh, brushless speed controller. Does that match a brushless motor? Wow. Servos. 4 servos. I used 4. Battery. They recommend lithium polymer. I'm sure. Control system. 2.4. Oops. I used a 915. Okay, so let me look on my other build sheet. I don't think it gives me any kind of all-up weight here. Nope, sure doesn't. So I'm going to go with the plans. I did check out the center of gravity with no battery in it. It is tail heavy. I'm shocked how tail heavy it was. I've got the video transmitter close to the center of gravity, the receiver, the motor, the prop, of course, and the ESC, the telemetry radio are all behind the center of gravity. I was hoping that pan and tilt on the front was going to do a lot for me. Okay, that's just a little few tidbits on the weight that I have at this point. This was the time to kind of start talking about all up weight because physical build pretty much done.